Today we're going to do a bus safety video on how to pre-trip a school bus, and then we'll be moving to Central Hardin to do our training course, which is all the procedures that it takes to go through the training course.
All right, we're going to start the inspection with your 3 Ps. You're looking at the posture of the bus. You want to make sure that it's not leaning more to one side, which could indicate a flat tire, busted shock, broke spring. Now you're going to check the pathway. You're going to look above, below, and down each side of the bus. You're looking for down tree limbs, power lines, toys, kids, anything that could prevent you from safely moving the bus. And then we're going to check for the puddles underneath the front of the bus. We're looking for oil, transmission, water, radiator coolant. Just looking for the puddles underneath. Then I'm going to start with my light system. I have 3 yellow clearance lights, 2 big red stop lights, 2 big yellow warning lights, 2 turn signals / hazard lights. They are yellow in the front, red in the back. Then my headlight and parking light assembly. All my lights are secure to the bus and properly attached. And then I'm going to check my crossing gate. It does open and close freely, has good tension. I would check the air boot, make sure I don't hear no air leaks in it. And then I will check both of my West Coast mirrors, the mounts and the wiring. They are all secure, properly installed, and I see no damage. Then I will check both of my crossover mirrors and the mounts. They are both secure, properly installed, and I see no damage to them. I will check my windshield and the seal around the windshield. It is secure, properly installed. I see no damage, and I have no illegal stickers in my window. Then I will check my windshield wiper, the blades, the arms, and the hoses for them. They are all secured to the bus, properly installed. The blades are good. The hoses are secure and properly installed, and I see no leaks from the hoses. Then I will do my latches, my hood latches. We'll unhook them. Both of the latches are secure to the bus and properly installed. I would also check all my stickers and decals on the bus to make sure they are all secure and properly installed also. You're gonna pull the hood, you just walk it down. Okay, I will check all my wiring, all my hoses. I want to make sure that they are all secure, properly installed. I don't see no burn marks on any of my wiring. I will check all the hoses and the clamps to make sure they are all secured and properly installed, and I see no leaks on my hoses. Then I will check my transmission dipstick. I will check it code with the engine off. I would pull the cap, make sure it's filled to capacity, and make sure the cap is back on tight. Then I will check my oil. I would check it with the engine off and the motor code. I will pull the dipstick, make sure it's filled to capacity, and put the cap back on and make sure it is tight. Then I will check my power steering reservoir and the mounts. They are secure, properly installed, it's filled to capacity, and the cap is on tight. Then I will check my radiator coolant reservoir and the mounts. It is secure and properly installed. It is filled to capacity, and the cap is also on, it's tight. Then I will check my air compressor. It is secure, properly installed. I hear no air leaks, and my air compressor is gear driven. And then I will go down here and I will check my power steering pump. It is secure, properly installed. I see no leaks around the pump, and it is also gear driven. Then I will check my steering linkage, the U-joints, steering gearbox. It is all secure, properly installed. I see no damage, and I see no leaks around the seal on the gearbox. Then I will check my pitman arm, steering shaft, my tie rods and the tie rod ends. They are all secure, properly installed. Castle nuts and the Carter keys are all in place. Then I will check my leaf springs, the front mount and the back mount, and the U-bolts. They are all secure, properly installed, and I see no illegal welds on my springs. I'll also check my frame. It's secure, properly installed, and I see no illegal welds on my frame. Then I will check my shock absorber, the bushing, and the mounts. They are secure, properly installed, fully inflated. I see no grease and oil buildup on them. And then I will check my brake airline hose, the 2-part brake chamber, my slack adjuster, and the push rod. They are all secure, properly installed. I hear no air leak from the brake line, and no more than a 1-inch play in my slack adjuster. And I would check and make sure that all the crown bolts and the Carter keys are all in place. Then I will go to my backing plate. It is secure, properly installed. I could look in the P-pose to check my brake drum and my shoes. I want to make sure that they are not worn dangerously thin, they are not excessively hot to touch, and they have no contaminants on them such as oil or grease. And then I will go to the inner and outer sidewall of my tires. They're secure, properly installed. I see no damage, which I would look for bumps, bruises, cuts to the tire. I will check the tread on my tires. They have to be 4/32 of tread, and I would check that with a tread depth gauge. My front tires have got to be new tires, no mismatch. Then I will come and I will check my outer and inner bud rims. They are secure, properly installed. I see no damage on the rim, and I can only have factory weld only. I will check my lug nuts. They are secure, properly installed. If I had a rush trail, that would indicate a loose lug nut. Then I will check my front hub seal and the lug nuts and the filler cap for it. It is also secure, properly installed. Cap is on tight, and if it had clear sight glass, I would make sure it would be filled to capacity. Then I will check my valve stem and the cap. It is secure, properly installed. I have to have at least 110 pounds of air pressure in my tire, and I would check that with an air pressure gauge. Then I will check my mud flap. It is secure, properly installed. All right, now we're gonna go down the left side of the bus to do an inspection on it. I would start with my driver's window. It does open and close freely, and the seals are in place. It's all secure and properly installed. I will check my stop arm, the lights, and the mount. Would check, make sure all 4 of the lights are secure, properly installed. I would check the air boot to make sure I hear no air leak. I would check the cable and the wiring for the light system. Make sure that I see no burn marks on the wire. Make sure my Carter key is in place. I will check the mount. Make sure it is secure and properly installed. Then I will look underneath the bus. I will check my drive shaft and my 3 U-hangers. U-hangers are there in case my drive shaft was to break. The U-hangers would catch it and keep it from digging in the ground and possibly rolling the bus over. I will check both of my storage compartments, the seals. They're secure, properly installed. Check the hardware, the handle. It does work freely. Raise it up. I will check all the hardware and the hold cable and the mount. They're secure, properly installed. I will check the seal around the door and the mat. Make sure it is all secure and properly installed and the pathway is clear. I will check my side emergency door the same way I will check the back one. While I'm here, I'm also going to check my yellow clearance lights at the top of the bus. I have 2 yellows and a red. I also have 3 reflectors at the bottom of the bus. 2 yellows and a red. They are all secure and properly installed. I would check all the windows and the seals, all my emergency decals, reflector tape. I have yellow reflector tape and red reflector tape. My emergency exit signs, they are all secure and properly installed to the bus. Then I will come back here. I will check my leaf spring torsion bar assembly and mounts. It is secure and properly installed. I see no damage to it. I will start checking my brake airline hose, the 2-part brake chamber, slack adjuster, and the push rod. Make sure that they are all secure to the bus. No damage, properly installed. I don't hear no air leaks coming from the brake airline hose. No more than a 1-inch play on my slack adjuster. Then I will go and check my backing plate. It is secure and properly installed. I could look in the peep hose to check my brake drum and my brake shoes. Make sure that they are not worn dangerously thin, they're not excessively hot to touch, and they have no contaminants on them such as oil or grease. Then I will come up and I will check the 2-inch gap in between my duals. Make sure it's free of obstruction, that nothing is stuck in there. Then I will check the inner and outer sidewalls of the tires. They're secure, properly installed. I see no damage, such as bumps, bruises, and bulges. Check the tread. Had to have at least 2 30-seconds of tread on my back tires, and I would check that with a tread depth gauge. On my back tires, I can have used tires, but no mismatch. Then I will come down here and I will check my lug nuts. They are secure, properly installed. If I had a rust trail on them, that would indicate a problem. Then I will check my rear hub seal and the lug nuts and the filler cap. It is secure, properly installed. I see no leaks around the seal. And if it had clear sight glass, I would make sure it would be filled to capacity. Then I will check both of my valve stems and caps. They are secure, properly installed. I have to have at least 110 pounds of air pressure in my tires, and I would check that with an air pressure gauge. Oh, I would also check my bud rims. They are secure, properly installed. I see no damage, such as dents or cuts on the rim, and I have to have factory weld only. Now we would do the pre-trip inspection on the back of the bus. We will start back here with the 3 Ps again. I would do them exactly the same way I did the front ones, except for what is different, and that would be my puddles. Because back here I could have a water leak, a rear differential leak, and a fuel leak if my fuel tank was in the back. I'm gonna start with my lights. I have 3 red clearance lights, 2 big red stop lights, 2 big yellow warning lights, 2 yellow turn signal / hazard lights, 2 big red stop lights, 2 big clear backup lights, and 2 red tail lights. Underneath, I have a license plate light, and I also have a bus number light. All my lights are secure and properly installed, and I see no damage. I would check all my decals back here the same way I did on the rest of the bus. I will check my tailpipe, make sure it extends at least 1 inch past my bumper. Now at this time, I'm gonna check everything underneath the bus back here. What I do, I just sit down. I'm gonna start again with my 2-inch gap between my duals, because now I can see all the way down to the ground. Make sure that there's nothing stuck in between my duals. And I will check my 2 airbags and the mounts. They are secure, properly installed, fully inflated, and I hear no leaks coming out of my airbags. Then I will check my shocks, the bushings, and the mounts. They are secure, properly installed, fully inflated, and I see no grease and oil buildup. I will also check my U-bolts back here. They are secure, properly installed. I will also check my rear differential. It is secure, properly installed, and I see no leaks on my rear differential. Then I will check my frame back here and the cross members. They are secure, properly installed, no illegal welds. Then I will check my backup beeper, the mount, and the wiring. It is secure, properly installed, and I see no burn marks on the wire. Then I will check my exhaust system back here. It is secure, properly installed, and I see no excessive soot or damage to the tailpipe and the exhaust system both. And I will also check the bottom of the floor. I'm still looking for damage, cuts, tears, hoe in the bottom of the floor. All right, now we will do the inspection on this side of the bus. We will check everything on this side of the bus, identical to the other side, except for what is different, and that is you have your 3 red reflective triangles. They are secure and properly installed to the bus. And we have our diesel fuel. This is the door. It does open and close freely. Check my fuel cap and the seal inside the cap. Make sure it is secure, properly installed, and I see no leaks coming around the seal. And then I would check my fuel tank and the tank mounts and straps. They are secure, properly installed. I don't see no damage to the tank, and my tank is not leaking. Then I will check my fuel cage. It is secure, properly installed, and I have no illegal welds on my cage. The cage is there to protect my fuel tank. I will check my loading light. It is secure, properly installed. I see no damage to it. And then we will walk up here. We have another loading light up here by the door. It is secure and properly installed, and I see no damage to it. We will walk past the doors and come back up to the right side of the motor. I will check my radiator, my fan, and the fan shroud. It is all secure, properly installed. I see no damage. Then I will check my alternator and the wires. They are secure, properly installed. I see no burn marks on the wiring. My alternator is belt driven. Then I will go and I will check my water pump. It is secure, properly installed. I see no leaks coming out of my water pump. And my water pump is also belt driven. This is my serpentine belt. It is secure, properly installed. No more than 3/4 inch play in the belt. This is my windshield washer reservoir and the mounts. It is secure, properly installed. It is filled to capacity, and the cap is on tight. Then I would check everything from my frame all the way to the outside of my rims to my front hub seal, identical to how I checked the other side. All right, now that we have checked the right and left side of the motor, we're going to shut the hood and hook it back up, and then we will start on the inside pre-trip.
Okay, now we're going to start our pre-trip on the inside of the bus. So we start here with our door. We'll open the door. We're going to be checking our rubber seals on the outside of the door, along with our rubber seals and our windows on the door. And most buses have a stop arm on top. We'll be checking it. This one is all enclosed. I'm going to be checking my step matting, all 3 mats, to make sure they're properly installed. I'll be looking at my handrail, which has 3 mounts on it, along with my loading light and all my decals, my watch, my step decal, and fire extinguisher decal. All this stuff here is installed properly, nothing's broken or missing. Now I'm going to come up into the bus. I'm going to start with my fire extinguisher. I'm going to take the cap or the cover off. I'm going to be looking, most of them have a service tag on them. that says it's in service. I'll be making sure that it's fully charged, and I'll be making sure that my pin and my clip is all installed on the fire extinguisher, and my fire extinguisher and my mount are both mounted to the bus properly. Nothing's broken or missing. I'll put the cover back on. Next, I'm going to be coming up and looking behind the seat at our first aid kit and our body fluid kit, which is located in the white boxes behind the seat. I'll be making sure both of those are installed properly. They're not broken or missing, and they are filled to the proper level. Next, we'll be coming over to the driver's seat. I'm going to be sitting down in the seat, making sure that my seat is mounted properly to the bus. It's not broken or missing. And I'm going to be getting my seat belt and putting it on. My seat belt is working properly. There's no damage to it. Seat belt is on. Okay, next we'll open the glove box. We'll bring out our brown envelope, which has our 3 spare fuses in it, our bus registration, our insurance card, along with our seatbelt cutter. I'll put it back in the glove box. Now what we'll get ready to do is what's called our safe start for the bus. So a safe start consists of our seatbelt is on, our right foot is on the brake, our bus is in neutral, the parking brake is set, the key is going to be turned in the on position. I'm waiting on my ABS light and all my indicator lights to go out on my dash. The bus has to go through a series with the computer before we start the bus. Now the bus is safe to start. Okay, I have my engine running right now. What we're doing is we're ensuring ourselves that we have enough air pressure to do our test for today. So with our engine running, the first thing that I'm going to start on is my switches over here on the left side. My first switch that I have is called an override switch. I'll turn that button on. They have light indicators on the buttons. I'll make sure they're all lit up. And with the override button on, I see that lit up in my dash. It says red flasher. I see my stop sign out and my crossing gate is out. Now on Hardin County School grounds, we can only cancel our crossing gate outside on Hardin County School grounds. So I'll push this button and my crossing gate will go in. At that point, I'll turn my override button off. I'll move over next to my 4-way flashers. I see my 4-way flashers on my dash. I'll turn those off. Next, I have a noise suppressor, so I'm going to turn a heater switch on. And when I get to a railroad track, I'll be turning the noise suppressor on to kill all the noise in the bus. Typically it does. That kills all the noise in the bus so we can hear a train coming. Next, I have my big yellow button. That turns on my big yellow flashers. I'm gonna turn those on. I see those in my dash. It says amber flash. Next, I'm gonna move over to my door switch. I'm gonna turn it 1 click. I'm bringing my stop sign out. My crossing gate is out. And I see that in my dash. It says red flasher. Next, I'm gonna turn my door switch to the right and test my service door. My service door opens properly. Now I will shut that switch completely off. Next, I have my dome lights. I'm gonna turn that switch on, and then through the rear of the bus, I see all my dome lights. They're all lit up properly. They are all installed properly. There's nothing broken or missing. Next, I have my strobe light. I'll turn it on, and I'll check that through the rear roof hatch here in a few minutes. Next is my heater switch for my West Coast mirrors. That's my defroster switch. I'll turn that on, and that defrosts my West Coast mirrors. Next, I'm gonna check my rear heater, low and high, and my midship heater, low and high. I've got a total of 4 heater switches. I'm checking all 4 of those the same way that I just checked the first one. Next, I'm going to check my mirrors. All of my mirrors are adjusted to me in the bus. My rear view mirror is adjusted to me in the bus, and it is also installed properly, not broken or missing, and I have a good seal around the mirror. Next, I'm going to come up to my fans. I have a left fan low and high. I'll turn it on. I have a right fan low and high, which is my defroster. Now I'm going to come down to my left side of my steering wheel. I have my headlights. One click is parking lights, second click is headlights. I'll leave those on. My next switch is my panel light. It brightens and dims my panel. Now I'm coming up the left side of my wheel. I have a tilt steering wheel. It works. And I also have a full-way flasher button on my steering column, and I see those on my dash. I'll turn those off. Next, I'm going to my turn signals. I have a left turn and a right turn. I see both of those in my dash. And I also have my headlights on low beam. I'll pull them on high beam, and I see my light indicator on the dash. Turn those off. Now I have my windshield wipers, low and high. And I also have a squirter button that I can push to squirt water on the windshield if I need to. Now I'm coming back up across the front to my steering wheel. I'm gonna blow my horn. Horn works. Now I'm gonna move over into my gauges. I'm checking my water gauge. My normal operating water temperature is 180 to 210. My oil pressure is 40 to 60. My RPMs right now is at 800. My mile per hour will register when I move the bus. My voltage on the bus normally is 12 to 15, and I do have enough fuel to do my route today. And my normal operating air pressure on my brake system is 90 to 120. From there, I'm going to move up to my steering wheel. I have a 20-inch steering wheel. I can't have no more than 2 inches of play in my 20-inch steering wheel. Next, I'm going to move over to my tug test. So my brakes are set. I'm going to put the bus in the lowest gear, and I'm going to accelerate to 1,000 RPM to make sure my brakes are holding, and they are holding. Next, we're going to start our lab test. So to do our lab test, we have to turn the engine off, and we have to turn the key back on so we have power. Now to get ready to do the labs, I'm going to release my brakes. Okay, with no brakes applied, I cannot lose no more than 2 pounds of pressure in 1 minute. With the foot brake applied, I can't lose no more than 3 pounds of pressure in 1 minute. That's our leaks. Now I'm going to test for alarm. So the alarm, I'm going to pump my brakes to 60. I'll hear my alarm come on, and I'll continue pumping to 30, and my button will pop out. There's my alarm, and there's my button. It just popped out. Now I'm going to start the bus back up, and I'm going to wait on the air governor to kick off at 120. At this point, we can either get up and do an inside inspection of the bus, or we can just sit here and wait on the air governor to kick off at 120. Okay, now we'll start our inspection on the inside of the bus. We're going to be walking back, checking that all of our seats are mounted properly to the bus, making sure there's none broken, none missing. I'm going to walk to the rear of the bus. I'm going to test my alarm on the rear door of the bus. I raise the handle, my alarm is working. I also have a head bump, and I have 3 more in the bus. I'll check all 3 of those are the same. My emergency decals and window decals for doors and windows, I'll check all those inside the bus. They're all mounted properly. There's none broken or missing. And I'm going to walk up. Now I'm going to check a window alarm. My window alarm works. I have 3 other windows. I'll test the same way. Now I'm going to open my roof hatch. I see my strobe light on top. It's mounted properly to the bus. It's not broken or missing. And on my roof hatch, my seal is in good condition. My hinges are all in good condition. Now I'm going to test my alarm, so I'm going to turn it to exit, the red button. I'm going to push the red button, and I hear my alarm, and it might. We'll shut this up. I have one more roof hatch and a side door. I'll test both of those the same way I just tested these two. Now we'll walk back to the front of the bus. And when we get back to the front of the bus, since our air governor just kicked off, I can turn the engine back off. I'm going to turn the key off. I have to turn the key back on. The reason we do that, the key always has to be off and on because of our No Child Left Behind system. We don't turn that off until the very end. So we always have to have the key off and then back on. So what I do, the key is on. I'm going to ask our examiner to go outside and check our lights right now. The examiner is outside, so I'm going to start with my light system. My headlights are on. I'm going to check my 3 yellow clearance lights. I'm going to open my window so he can hear, or in this case, she. So we're checking our 3 yellow clearance lights.
3 yellow clearance lights are good.
Okay, now I'm going to check my big yellows. I've turned those on.
Big yellows are good.
Next, I'm going to turn my big reds on and my stop sign and my crossing gate.
Big reds are good.
Now I'm going to turn the...
Reds on the front of the stop arm are good.
Now we're going to take and start with our left turn.
Left turn signal's good.
Right turn.
Right turn signal's good.
4-way flashers.
4-way flashers are good.
Okay. Our parking lights.
Yellow parking lights are good.
Headlights.
Headlights are good.
Our low beam.
Low beam's good.
High beam.
High beam's good.
Now we're going to come down to the left side of the bus, and I'll ask the examiner to check our 3 clearance lights on the side of the bus, which we have 2 yellow and 1 red, and go to the rear of the bus and stand in my sight.
3 clearance lights, 2 yellow and a red are good.
And when he gets to the back, we're going to check our 3 red clearance lights.
3 red clearance lights are good.
Okay, next I'm going to check my big yellows.
Your 2 big yellows are good.
Next, I'm going to turn my door, or the reds on, with the door switch and my stop sign.
Your 2 big reds are good. Reds on the back of the stop arm are good.
Okay. I have a left turn.
Left turn signal's good.
Right turn.
Right turn signal's good.
4-way flashers.
4-way flashers are good.
Brake lights.
Red brake lights are good.
Tail lights.
Red tail lights are good.
License plate light and bus number light.
License plate light, bus number light are good.
Okay. Now I need you to come down the right side and check my 3 clearance lights on the right. 2 yellow and 1 red. And as he approaches the door on the right side, he's going to check my 3 clearance lights along with my loading light and my step light coming up the steps.
3 clearance lights, 2 yellow and a red is good. Your loading light's good, and your step light is good.
Okay. At that point, he's walking back into the bus, sitting down. I'll be shutting the door. He's coming in. He has sit down now. My lights are off. What I'm getting ready to do now is go back and do my No Child Left Behind. So I'm going to turn the key off. You hear the alarm going off. My dome lights are all lit up. That means the No Child Left Behind is activated. So now I've got to walk through the bus. What I'm doing now is I'm walking back and I'm looking in my seats for kids. I'm checking each and every seat to make sure there's no kids that's been left on the bus. I'll come back here, and on the above the back seat is our button that turns off the No Child Left Behind. The lights will blink twice. Okay, the lights blink twice. The alarm is off. Now I'm walking back up to the front looking under the seats at a different angle to make sure there's no kids left on the bus, no book bags, cell phones, any money that the kids might have left that we have to take back to school to them. But mainly we're looking for kids to make sure that there is no kids left on the bus. When we get done with this, we'll walk up and we'll sit back down in their seat. This is the only time that we can sit in the seat without a seat belt. So we can come back up, sit in the seat. We can think about our whole pre-trip that we've done inside and out, and if we think we forgot something anywhere, we can ask the examiner to go back outside and check it with us. And if you think you're completed, then you can tell the examiner, I have completed my pre-trip of the bus. When entering school property, any Hardin County school property, the speed limit for a bus is 5 miles per hour on all school property. Even though the speed limit could be posted at 15 miles an hour, the speed limit is 5 miles an hour, whether that's at the school, central office, bus garage, anywhere. Any school property is 5 miles an hour. And also, when we're approaching a stop sign at an intersection, we always stop the bus before the stop sign. And for some reason, if you can't see, you can pull up to the stop line, which is white. And at that point, you can stop and then proceed on after that. Now he's proceeding up to do his parallel park. You're going to sit yourself up by pulling about 3 or 4 foot away from the cones. He's going to pull up, and the rear wheels need to be past the last set of cones. That's your turning point. So he's going to come up past the last set of cones. Now he's going to be stopping. He's going to be putting on his left signal and his four-way flashers to back in. He'll start backing in, and when the rear wheels get to where you know he can come around the cone, start cutting, which he is. You have to watch the front crossover mirror on the bus when you start cutting around to get into the spot to make sure you don't hit the cone with your front bumper as you back in. He's going to back in and get the bus nice and straight. He's going to straighten these wheels out straight when he pulls forward some. Again, he's going to stop. He's going to set the brake, go to neutral, and blow the horn. That's your parallel park. Okay, now he's going to do a student pickup, and the student's going to be on the left side of the bus. So as he's going up the highway to her stop, he's going to be putting his big yellow lights on approximately 200 foot before the stop. And if we have room, we'll tap our brakes about 3 times to warn people that we are going to be stopping. So with his big yellows on, he's going to approach his stop. He's going to stop 10 to 15 feet from the stop. He'll set his brake. He'll go to neutral. He'll scan for traffic. He'll look out both mirrors, making sure there's no traffic, and making sure the traffic has stopped. He's turned his big reds on now. Traffic has stopped. So now he's motioned the student to cross the road. As the student comes around and enters the bus, when they get onto the second or third step, at that point, he'll shut his door to keep a parent or a dog from running on the bus. He'll be setting himself up to drive, so he'll be putting the bus in drive and releasing his brake. But again, he won't move. He's going to turn around and scan all of his mirrors He's going to look out the right mirror one last time before he moves the bus to make sure that there's no kids running to the bus, and then he'll proceed on. Now he's coming in to do a railroad. So on a railroad crossing, approximately 200 feet before the stop, he's turning on these yellow flashers. He's going to be turning on his noise suppressor, and he's going to be opening his window, and he's going to tap his brakes 4 to 5 times. And as he approaches the railroad, he's going to stop 15 to 50 foot away from the tracks. He's going to take and open his door. He's looking down the tracks, left and right, to see if there's a train coming. He'll shut his door. He'll put his bus in the lowest gear, release his brake, and now he's looking at the containment area, which is in front of the bus, to make sure it's about 1.5 bus length over the tracks, to make sure there's no cars sitting in the road, nothing's in the way of him moving. At that point, he's checking for a train one last time, and he's proceeding over the tracks. As he gets over the tracks, he'll put his bus back up into drive, turn his noise suppressor off, shut his window, and turn these 4-way flashers off. And he's completed his railroad. He's driving down the road now, getting ready to do an emergency evacuation. In an emergency evacuation, he'll be driving down the road, and if he knows he has a flat tire or any other problems, as he's coming down the road here, he's going to be turning to the right, exiting off onto the shoulder of the road. So as he's coming down the road, now he's got his right signal on. He's getting ready to pull onto the shoulder of the road. He's going to pull and stay about 3 foot away from the line of traffic. He's going to pull up, he's going to stop, he's going to set his brake, go to neutral, turn his 4-way flashers on, and cut his wheels all the way to the right. Now he's set up to where we can do an evacuation if need be. Now, he's getting ready to take off, so he's turned his 4-ways off, he's straightened his wheels out, he's put his left signal on. After the kids are loaded, he's going to start pulling out, and as he pulls out, he's going to drive up the shoulder, picking up speed, and then turning out into the line of traffic. And that's an emergency evacuation. Now the next procedure that we'll be doing is called a 2-point turnaround. So we're going to use this cone here as a turning point. So he's coming up the street. He's going to pull up this street, and he's going to be backing into the other street. Again, you have to let your rear wheel pass the turning point, which is the cone. He's going to get the rear wheel on the other side of the cone, which he has. Now he's going to turn his left signal on, his 4-way flashers, and now he's going to back around this cone into this other street. And now he's pulled in and he stopped in the street. Now he's pulling back out. So that was your 2-point turn. We hope you've learned from this video today that all the procedures that it takes to be a school bus driver. Thank you.